Well, Ronald Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, aka Star Wars, has finally become a reality under Donald Trump. Of course, it's been rebranded the Golden Dome. Does that surprise anybody that there would be gold in the name, considering it is Donald Trump? Welcome to my channel, y'all. I hope you're having a great day. Well, the big news out of Washington yesterday was the announcement of the Golden Dome. And that, of course, is an updated and upgraded version of Israel's Iron Dome, which is essentially a rebirth and rebranding of Ronald Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, nicknamed Star Wars back in 1983. Well, back in 1983, the technology didn't exist to actually complete the project, so it was eventually shelved. But technology has now caught up with the idea, and Donald Trump is bringing this idea back to life. Now, Donald Trump believes that he can get this project done by the end of his term. And while I doubt that any other president would be successful in doing so, with the speed that Donald Trump operates, I actually think he'll get it done. Let's go to that press conference and see exactly what he had to say.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here in the Oval Office, one of the great places of the world, as we make a historic announcement about the Golden Dome missile defense shield. That's something we want. And Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, but they didn't have the technology. But it's something we're going to have. We're going to have it at the highest level. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So, as usual, we help Canada do the best we can.
Okay, a little bit of a dig there. Yes, we help Canada. We do the best we can because, of course, our government doesn't really do defense, does it? And Carney, I don't think, is any different. But he wants to get in on this program. Of course, he has to get in on this program because if these missiles come from Russia, they're going to get shot down over Canada. So he doesn't want them shot down over the populated areas. They'll have to be in the far north. So, I mean, yeah, he has to be in on this project. And of course, it would be better if they got shot down before they entered Canadian airspace, like over Russia, if Russia launched them, or over China, if China launched them, or, you know, wherever. You get the idea. And of course, Carney wants to get in on this, and I bet you anything, within a day or so, he's going to come out with this big announcement that he was in on the ground floor of this unique project. But, you know, hey, we'll just have to wait and see for that. Let's get back to this press conference.
This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful. And now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland, and the success rate is very close to 100%, which is incredible when you think of it. You're shooting bullets out of the air. I'm also pleased to report that the One Big Beautiful Bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial sort of a down deposit. And we have probably, you're talking about, General, we're talking about $175 billion total cost of this when it's completed.
$175 billion. So basically what the Trudeau government throws away on corrupt contractors every year in Canada. Well, at least this is going to something good. And if you think about it, Trudeau could not have gotten this done for $175 billion. He would have spent a lot more than that. And most of it would have went into the pockets of his corrupt friends and probably his pockets as well. So it's a good thing that Donald Trump is doing this. But it's amazing that he could get this done for $175 billion if you think about it. With the cost of everything today, that's amazing. Of course, we don't really know what the final cost is going to be because there's usually cost overruns, but I think that under Donald Trump, with Elon Musk working beside him, they probably will be able to keep the costs down.
This afternoon, I'm also announcing that I will appoint, very importantly, General Gutlein to lead the ambitious new effort as the direct reporting program manager for the Golden Dome. Very talented man, and I'm very honored to have been the one that helped or really created Space Force. Space Force has turned out to be a tremendous success. We were third in space, and now we're number one in space by a lot. It's not even close. And Mike is a 4-star Space Force general, the recipient of the Defense Distinguished Service Medal, one of the most respected people in the world having to do with defense. You know, we have offense and we have defense. I'll bet he's good at offense too. And he has an unmatched background in missile warning technology and defense procurement. General Gutlein also knows that we need to move fast. No one is more qualified for his job, and this was a universal acceptance of General Gutlein. Everybody that knows him and knows everybody else, they said there's only one man for the job, so I have a feeling we have the right guy.
So it's falling under the U.S. Space Force. That's very interesting. And, you know, it does make a lot of sense because they will be able to intercept missiles that are launched from space. It's almost like Donald Trump knew what he was doing when he created Space Force, which actually had a lot of opponents when he actually created it back in his first term. So this probably was a good idea to put it under the Space Force to give that branch of the military a higher profile, I guess. Now, I'm not really sure if Space Force is part of the Air Force still or what. I think it probably is. It may be an offshoot. Maybe it's kind of like the Marine Corps being part of the Department of the Navy or something like that. If anybody knows exactly how that's set up, like put that down in the comments, please. I'd really love to know that. Maybe I'll do some research after this video. But I've had the belief that it is essentially a part of the Air Force. But I could be wrong. So let me know in the comments just how that is structured. Well, let's get back to this press conference and see what else they have to say.
We had a tremendous trip to the Middle East, as you know. It was a really amazing trip. And now I came home, and this is the one I was really looking forward to this day, because this is very important for the success and even survival of our country. It's a pretty evil world out there. So this is something that goes a long way toward the survival of this great country. And as I said, we'll be discussing Canada. They want to hook in and they want to see if they can be a part of it. It sort of makes sense. I guess that's what I was talking about from day one. You know, it just automatically makes sense, and it won't be very difficult to do, but they'll pay their fair share.
Now, of course, he had to say they'll pay their fair share because we all know that our government has been, well, deadbeats when it comes to defense. So hopefully we won't be deadbeats on this program. Hopefully we will pay our fair share. Well, anyway, let's get back to this press conference.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. President, you had mentioned at the beginning of your remarks that this was a campaign promise of yours. Have military commanders asked for this system specifically? Because NORAD had said previously that the current system was adequate. So what does this get the United States
Somebody said the
isn't
current
already
system is
in
adequate.
before?
There really is no current system. We have certain areas of missiles and certain missile defense, but there's no system. We just have some very capable weapons that hopefully we never have to use, but we have some very capable weapons. No, this is a different league. There's never been anything like this. This is something that's going to be very protective. I think you can rest assured there'll be nothing like this. Nobody else is capable of building it either.
Was it something
please
that
go ahead.
military commanders asked you for? Did they ask you to do this?
Well, let me put it differently. I suggested it, and they all said, "We love the idea, sir." It's the way it's got to be, right? But they want it, and they wanted it badly once it was suggested. I don't know if they ever thought they would be lucky enough to have it, but we were able to get it done, and we have all the funding, so pretty much tucked away. I think most people feel it's very important to have. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you first announced this idea, critics said it would be prohibitively expensive, potentially ineffective, and could trigger an arms race in space. What do you say to those critics about that?
Well, they're wrong. It's about as close to perfect as you can have in terms of real production. I told you Canada wants to be a part of it, which be, fairly small expansion, but we'll work with them on pricing. We'll be dealing with them on pricing. They know about it very much. They've asked to be a part of it, actually. They've asked us to be a part of it. I think it's something that is great. If you can afford to do it, we can afford to do it. We took in $5.1 trillion in the last 4 days in the Middle East. And when you think about it, this is a tiny fraction of that. But we make it all here. We're going to make it all here.
With the goal of keeping Americans safe with this, can you talk about the timeline? How long will this take to complete?
We think it's going to be about a little bit less than 3 years. And we'll have a big phase-in very early. We're starting immediately with $25 billion. It'll cost about $175 billion completed. But we think in 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah.
Are you confident that you can get the funding needed from Congress quickly?
Yeah. It's amazing how easy this one is to fund. Some funding is tough and some is easy. When we say we're going to save everyone's lives in a crazy world, it seems to be very easy to get. Yeah, we've already spoken to everybody we have to speak to. Everybody's in, I would say, Dan, everybody's in line here. Right?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? They bring this bill to the Congress, and obviously it goes to the Congress and the Senate, and everybody's on board with it. Imagine that in Canada, everybody being on board with a major defense initiative and the spending required for that. That just wouldn't happen unless you had a majority government, which of course we don't. We may, depending on some of the recounts, but we don't have a majority government. And spending bills like this, well, it would be very difficult to get through in Canada. Now, I'm not sure what Carney's going to do with his 1/8 of the bill, if that's what it comes to, because we do have, they have 8 times more of the population that we do. So I'm not sure exactly what the pricing formula is going to be, but are we going to be able to come up with that money? Carney apparently is okay with it. So maybe that's a good sign. But the fact that they can have this pretty much guaranteed funding and then produce this system within 2.5 to 3 years would just be unheard of in Canada. Canada can't do anything that fast. We can't even get a mine approved in that much time, let alone start to develop that mine. It takes like 10 to 15 years even to get a project approved. But something like this, it's not only approved, it's funded, and it's going to be completed within 2.5 to 3 years. That's amazing. There's no way that could have happened in Canada.
Dan, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I think when you look at the system that you've laid out, it's an idea in your executive order of a layered defense. So you have initial ground-based missile interceptors, which are made by some of the big defense companies, Lockheed, Martin, Raytheon. But the beauty of your vision, Mr. President, is that it's layered, it's open architecture, and it goes up into space. So this is going to be some of the new defense tech companies that are very interested in it and can bring missile defense at a cost that I don't think, you said it, Mr. President, is unimaginable in terms of how much lower the cost is. So it's all across the board in terms of companies. Senator Kramer and I just met with a bunch of them last week that are interested in this. And you said it earlier, Mr. President, our technology sector is head and shoulders above any other place in the world, and they're going to be a key part of this, and I think that's why it makes it so exciting.
Mr. President, I think one of the things and you alluded to this, the new autonomous space age defense ecosystem is more about Silicon Valley than it is about big metal, right? And so what's exciting about this is it makes it available to everybody to participate, to compete. Big companies, mid-sized companies, small companies, but General Gutlein is the perfect person, again, to sort all that out because he understands how it has to work together ultimately.
And Pete, maybe we'll close with you. We have been discussing this for a long time. Peter and I used to discuss it when I was going to go on a show that he did very well and had tremendous ratings, but all he wanted to talk about was the military. He didn't want to talk about anything else. We used to talk about this. How about you closing it out?
Yes, sir. I mean, like I said, without your vision, willing to say and do things when other people wanted to look away and pretend like the threat didn't exist, or be focused on foreign adventurism, some other threat that we've been told is affecting us. When you looked at the data, sir, from Russia to the Communist Chinese and their capabilities, what they're trying to do to supersede us and threaten us, how do we find the best innovators, the best military leaders, the best companies, tech companies? You mentioned open architecture. That's exactly right. So multiple companies can pour into this, sir. It's a layered defense. So if you miss at one, you catch at the next. And it integrates existing technologies that can speak to each other. So it moves quickly while also investing in further ranging space-based interceptors. So our enemies, our adversaries are going to pay a lot of attention to this, just like they have to President Trump from day one. Sir, you're defending the homeland, defending the American people. It's going to benefit my kids, grandkids, all of ours in this room. So thank you for your leadership. We're going to charge ahead as fast as we can.
Very good.
So that's exciting news, but there's one thing that I did cut out. I'm not going to go back and look for it and put it in, but there was a bit of talk during this press conference about the tariffs and how the tariffs actually made a lot of this possible. Brought back a lot of jobs to Indiana in the automotive industry, but also in the aerospace industry, because Indiana apparently makes a lot of these satellites and rockets. So there may have been more to these tariffs than what meets the eye, and especially since, well, Carney has taken off all of the reciprocal tariffs, and you've seen that through other YouTubers. And now we hear that he's getting in on this project. What did he know? What kind of deal was he in on with Trump from the beginning? And when did he know it? Was it during the election? Was it prior to the election? Was it when the WEF were trying to get him installed? Well, those are questions that I don't think we can answer in this podcast, but I do believe there's something a little fishy going on there. I think this project is a good thing, and I think it's very exciting for the United States and for Canada to get involved in. Now, some of the backroom deals and how it got funded and how it's getting funded through these tariffs, well, that's a little different. So if you want to watch this entire press conference and you can see that tariff bit if you did. Well, there'll be a link to this in the description of this video. I always link all of my sources in the description of my videos so that people can go back and take a look at them and just confirm what I'm saying and what I'm presenting. But so those are my opinions. I would love to know what you think. Put your comments down below. And while you're at it, please like this video, share with your friends and on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so you never miss another video. Also, please join me on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time for my live stream on both YouTube and Rumble, where you're invited to join in on the conversation. Also, if you reside on Vancouver Island and you want to get your Canadian firearms license, I teach the required courses. So if you want to take a course from me, there are links in the show notes of this video to my website where you can sign up for one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.